च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the establisher of universal religion, who established peace and harmony amongst various religions, who brought about all the religions together under the common ideal of realizing the truth which is same in all the religions. The main purpose of the human life is to realize, experience our true nature. As long as we are in a state of ignorance, we are always in some kind of problems, sufferings, and so on. In a way, ignorance is the root cause of all our miseries and problems in this world. So we must aspire to kindle our knowledge, to get rid of ignorance. Somehow we must bring in the light of knowledge, which is very important. We get that light of knowledge from the Upanishads. They always focus our attention upon the principle, upon the important absolute truth which everyone will have to pursue in the life. The rishis have meditated deeply on the subject and have come out with the wonderful result. Just as the scientists dedicate their whole life in discovering many things of this world, in order to understand the mysteries of the world, and they come out with their experiences. But the science which the scientists are pursuing in the external nature doesn't give them any final answer for the things of the world. But the rishis, the seers, the sages, having dedicated their whole life in exploring the inner nature of the true self, they have come out with the final answer, knowing which there is no more problem, there is no more suffering, there is no more unhappiness, no more unpleasantness, no more secret of anything. Everything gets revealed. He comes to know everything. That is, he becomes fully aware of the true knowledge. At once the ignorance is dispelled without any trace. Such a person, having that realization of the Supreme Self, is free from all bonds and is eternally peaceful and blissful. But this has to be experienced by everyone. Just as the scientists have prescribed the laboratory method of preparing the product by implementing their discoveries, even so, the spiritual masters have prescribed specific methods, specific approach to dispel this ignorance which is causing us never-ending suffering. So they have pinpointed the root cause of our suffering is no doubt ignorance, and this ignorance is having its full play in our mind. So, one of the famous Upanishads, Amrita Bindu, it deals with this subject very thoroughly. The very first verse of this Upanishad is that Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho bandhaya vishaya saktam muktam nirvishayam smrit muktam nirvishayam smritam. The meaning of this verse is that who is responsible for the bondage? They have found out. Here is a culprit. You must know where the thief is, then it is easy to arrest him. If you know the location of the thief, it's very easy to arrest him and take whatever steps you want to. In the same way, the spiritual masters have found out that thief who was responsible for this never-ending suffering in the life. In spite of all comforts and lot of wealth and all powers in our hand, without happiness, what is the use of all these things? Tell me that. So, they have pinpointed in this verse who was responsible for this suffering and all sorts of things going on in the world. That is mind. Mind. Mind alone is the cause of bondage. It is mind that is chaining us. It is mind that is covering our true nature. It is mind that is creating all sorts of havoc in our life. And at the same time, they have pointed out that it is the same mind that becomes responsible for the liberation. We have to hold on to the same mind. It means that how very important the mind is. Unfortunately, how terribly we have neglected this culturing of the mind, training of the mind. Absolutely there is no training. Highly indisciplined way we carry on our life. So, in the first verse they have pointed out, what is bandha? What is bondage? Bondage is nothing but getting ourselves stuck up in the things of the world. We get stuck up in the unreal things of the world. That means we get deeply involved or become deeply attached to the things of the world. So as long as we allow our mind to go in that fashion, recurring birth and death will be our fate. None can escape. None can escape. So because of this recurring birth and death, we will be shaken or assaulted or made to waver by sukha and dukkha, pleasure and pain. Always we are troubled with this combination of pleasure and pain. So, how we should work for liberation? We must live like a lotus leaf in water. Padma patramivambhasa, a famous Sanskrit saying. So even though we are in the world, even though we are carrying on all the activities briskly, most efficiently, yet we should act in such a way that we do not get stuck up in those activities. That causes liberation. We must be aware of what we are doing. The lotus is submerged in the water, yet water doesn't stick to it. Similarly, though physically associating with the world, mentally we should detach ourselves. We must learn the method of detaching from the things. That means training of the mind is important. Training of the mind is very important. In Vedanta, there's a specific term called antakaran. Antakaran. Inner equipment. It consists of mind and intellect. Intellect has got specific function. It is very essential to identify the function of the intellect and the mind. The term used to denote the knowledge about the movements of this equipment is called vritti jnana or vritti bhava. Vritti jnana is attained by analyzing the mind and the world. We generally think that the world is separate and apart from us and see no direct relationship between it and our mind. But if we pause to think over it, we will realize that all things we see in the external world are represented within us as so many thought processes. So what we see as the world outside, the movements and change in it are the same as what we see inside as thoughts, which are movements on consciousness. The world outside and the corresponding thought inside are like two sides of the same coin. Suppose there's a man in front of me. The corresponding thought that is a man arises in my mind. Unless the man thought gets registered, imprinted, what is called arudha in Sanskrit word, unless it is imprinted in my mind, the man is not there for me, even though he stands in front of me. The mind acts purposively. It doesn't register each and every impulse it receives. Let us take an example. Suppose a lady has given birth to a baby. She sleeps soundly in spite of loud noises going around her, but she is in deep sleep. But the moment the newborn child starts whimpering even slightly, she wakes up. That means her mind does purposive action in as much as it refuses to register even the loud noises outside, but the frail crying of the baby is registered by it. So, we are aware only of the things that the mind registers. If the mind is not there, world is not there for me. We perceive the world through the five senses, ear, nose, eyes, and so on. But even if the organs of the senses are functioning properly, we cannot cognize the world unless the mind is functioning in that field. Let us take an example again. Suppose you are absorbed in a thought. You are fully concentrated on that. A friend comes and stands in front of you. The friend is there. He is looking at you. Your eyes see him, but you are not aware of him. He may call you. The sound may fall in your ears, yet you are not aware of it. Why? Because it is the mind which registers the impulses received by the sense organs, arranges them in order, and makes sense out of them. If it is engaged in other thoughts and is thus not associated with the sense organs to register their impulses, we are dead to the world. That is, the world doesn't exist for us. In deep sleep also, the mind is not available to the sense organs. That's why even loud sounds do not awaken us, as we are not aware of the sound. Thus, none can perceive the world without the mind. So, without the mind, there is no world. I am not referring to your mind or my mind. You may say, "Oh Swamiji, you may be asleep and for you the world may not be there." That is, you may be dead to the world, but I am wide awake and for me the world is very much there. This argument may be given. This is because you think you have one mind and I have another. But though we think in terms of my mind and your mind, in truth there is but one mind. We are only conscious of a part of it and we call it my mind. Let us take an example again. Suppose there are 100 pots filled with water. They are kept in the sunlight. The sun is reflected in each of them. In each of the 100 pots we see sun. Are we then to conclude that there are 100 suns, a sun in each pot? Do we have to conclude like that? If it were so, all the 100 suns should be present when we collect the water in all the 100 pots in a large container. But this is not so. No. There is only one sun which appears as many. Our saying my mind and your mind is just like the parts saying my son and my son. Thus mind being one, without mind there is no world. Mind is a conscious principle without which none perceives the world. Thus, though we are in our ignorance take the world and the mind to be two different things, they are not so. Mind is a conscious process within and the world a material external expression of that one reality which is behind both the mind and the world. The world is purely mental. It is nothing but mind concretized. For it has no existence apart from the mind. The world you see outside and the world idea in your mind are concomitant, coexistent. Without the world idea, is there any world for you? Analyzing thus the mind and the world, Vedanta says, what you see outside as a world and what you see within as a corresponding thought are one. The world is only an external manifestation or projection of the mind. Understand that the world has no existence apart from your mind. But there is something higher and subtler than both the world and the mind, from which both these have emanated. That is pure consciousness, Brahman, the unchanging reality. In Yoga Vasishta, the great sage Vasishta tells Rama, "O Rama, Purvam manas samuditam paramartha tattvat tenatatam jagadidam swavikalpa jalaihi shunyena shunyamapi tena yathambarena nilatva mullasati charu tarabhidhanam." A very famous statement. The Maharshi says, "O Rama, from that original and ultimate reality, Satchidananda, the first thing that sprouted was the mind. Out of that infinite consciousness, mind has come out as the waves come out of the ocean. And just as the waves superficially cover the ocean and we are unable to see the depth of it, so also the mind, though it is a fractional projection of the infinite consciousness, superficially veils it. Independent of the mind, the world is pure Brahman. When we perceive this Brahman through the five senses, it appears as the world. Just as the colorless rays of the sun emerge as 7 different colors when made to pass through a prism. Thus, the world is created through the vikalpa of the mind. In dreams, our senses do not operate, yet we have pleasure and pain, happy experiences and nightmares, just as realistic as we have in the waking state when our senses are operating. We see and feel as though events are taking place outside of us. But it is all woven by the mind and within our mind. From the dream state, when we wake up, the dream seems absolutely an imagination, having had validity but no reality. We know that it was unreal, and so we will not be affected by it. Even so, for an ordinary man, the world as he experiences in the waking state is very real. But to one who has realized and reached the Turiya state, the superconscious state, the world of the ordinary man seems unreal. We have often been intrigued by questions like, who or what created the world and how was it created? What is it that is supporting and sustaining this universe? Very important questions bothering us. They keep on bothering us as long as we remain ignorant of the reality and the knowledge. As long as we are not kindling our knowledge, these questions keep on bothering us. In trying to find out an answer to these questions, the scientists started by analyzing the external universe and probing into the mysteries of nature in order to trace out its origin. Their analysis have led them to great and wonderful scientific discoveries and inventions, but not to the ultimate truth. In contrast, the spiritual masters intuitively recognized that the external universe is but a projection of the mind. So instead of tracing out the origin of the universe, what they did? They traced out the origin of the mind and succeeded in arriving at the ultimate truth. So, to know the origin of the universe, we need not search outside. Instead, we should turn within and conduct a research to know the origin of the mind. Besides, if we search outside, there is an insurmountable difficulty. We cannot know anything of the external world beyond the sense realm. We have got limitations. If our senses are defective, even what we are seeing through our senses also are not very clear for us. So our knowledge in this world depends upon the function of our senses, our organs. It depends upon the instruments which we are using with which we are being associated. So even for scientific researchers, what do the scientists do? They collect as much data as possible on a subject, then arrange and rearrange the facts within themselves. Within themselves means within their minds. Think over it intensely and then finally arrive at a conclusion. Thereafter they experiment upon it and see whether their inference is right or wrong. So, even if we start a search outside, we will come to a stage where further search is to be conducted within ourselves. No more outside. That being the case, why not take the direct process of tracing out the origin of the mind without going out first and then retreating? The ultimate reality is pure consciousness, pervading within and without, transcendental and immanent. To trace out the ultimate reality that is non-changing, we have to go through a factor that is itself non-changing. Suppose you want to float on a water, you have to catch hold of something that will itself float. Otherwise you will sink. Similarly, our approach to the ultimate reality must be through some non-changing factor. This factor, this non-changing factor is the aham bodha, the I consciousness. I consciousness in us. This bodha, this I consciousness or awareness in us is a sample of the pure consciousness, the ultimate reality, what we call Satchidananda. So, tracing out the ultimate reality comes to the same thing as tracing out the I consciousness in us, which is but a sample of the former. The next question is, what is mind? And what is its relationship to the I consciousness in us? We should know all these things very thoroughly. Then only you can train your mind. Without knowing what it is, how can you train yourself? So it's very important. So before actually dwelling upon the subject, disciplining the mind, I am dwelling upon the preliminary ideas about what is what. So what is mind? What is mind? It is a flow of thoughts, unconnected, disunited, and consecutive, one following the other. And what are thoughts? Thoughts are sprouts upon pure consciousness, in our inner consciousness. Just as waves are sprouts upon the surface of the ocean. Suppose you throw a stone in a pond. What happens? Number of circular waves will emanate. Similarly, on our inner eye consciousness, wavy emotions are produced. It is these disturbances, waves, that are called thoughts. One thought remains in that sprouted or projected form for a certain length of time and then subsides in the very place from where it emanated. Then another thought follows. Thus, we find there is a continuous flow until sleep overtakes the mind. The moment the mind wakes up, the flow of thought starts and continues until we again go back to sleep. That's what we are doing. As soon as we wake up, we become terribly busy because mind is terribly busy. When all our hectic activities are over, we become exhausted. We drop on the bed, get into sound sleep. Till then, mind has become extremely active. Thinking, 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 thinking. But though so many different thoughts may flow in the mind, the content of each thought is the same. That's a very important point which we should note. Suppose you take a cinema film, it is just like the projection of a cinema film. The same light passes through the whole length of the film, but we see different figures and movements on the screen making up the scene. So also, the content of each thought is pure consciousness, though we have different thoughts. We see different names and forms creating for us the prapancha, play, the play of the world. Now here, the simile of the cinema covers only a certain aspect of the truth. For whereas in a cinema a certain upadhi or means is required to project a scene, namely the film, here in the case of our mind, there is no such upadhi. There is no simile in the world which can completely and exactly explain the infinite reality. We cannot explain the infinite in terms of the finite. Similes can explain only certain aspects of the reality, giving us an idea of what it is. Now, the above simile has been used only to indicate that whatever the thoughts may be, the content of each thought is the same, pure consciousness, pure awareness. Samvit, bodha or prajna, these are the terms used. Now again, let us take an example to understand this idea. There may be different dolls made of clay. A tiger, a dog, elephant, etc. So many. But notwithstanding the names and forms, the dolls are all clay and nothing but clay. The names and forms are superimposed. So also, one moment we may have one thought, the next moment another, and so on. But the difference between one thought and another is only superficial, the content being the same, pure awareness. The thoughts thus being a flow, a projection, there must be a substratum for it. In ordinary cases, Suppose you take a river. The substratum, the bed of the river is different from the thing that flows over it, water. But here, the substratum as well as the thing that flows or gets projected upon it are the same pure consciousness. Just as the waves on the surface of the ocean, the content of each wave is sea water, and the substratum for it is also sea water. If we understand that whatever we sense in the world is but a movement of the consciousness, bodha or awareness, whether it be sukha or dukkha, pleasure or pain, feeling or the understanding that this a man, this a dog, etc. It is but pure awareness which is its content. Then the world can be reduced into awareness, awareness and nothing but awareness. Seeing me is an awareness. Without this awareness, there is no me for you. Hearing him is another awareness. Otherwise, you cannot realize what he is talking. Now, coming to awareness, there are two types of awareness. One is pure awareness, that is the ultimate reality and our true personality. This can be compared to the non-moving, still column of water at the bottom of the ocean. That's about pure awareness. There is another awareness, broken pieces of awareness. Broken pieces. That is the thoughts that sprout upon the pure awareness. This is like the waves which sprout upon the surface of the ocean. Our true personality is pure awareness. The purpose of all our meditation, the purpose of all our spiritual exercises, the purpose of training the mind, disciplining the mind, is just to realize this awareness. But just as the waves of the ocean cover up their source, that is, the column of water underneath them, so also the thoughts that sprout upon the pure awareness cover up their very source. That is why we are not able to realize our true personality, true nature. When we see the sprouting form of awareness alone, we mistake it to be the only reality. But true jnana, knowledge, is attained only if we go beyond the broken pieces of the sprouting part, the wavy side, and sink beneath in the substratum. Then alone can we understand that is all one pure consciousness. When we know that it is all one pure consciousness, we won't mistake the projecting part as something different from the substratum and have dukkha consequent on that misunderstanding. Seeing dolls of clay, we may mistake them to be different animals. But once we know that it is all clay, we would not be mistaking them again to be real animals at all. A small child takes a toy elephant to be real, and it may even cry when its trunk is broken. But the mother will not cry because she knows it is only clay and not a real elephant. We are in the child's stage now, not knowing that our mind, which is a flow of thoughts, which in their turn are sprouts upon pure consciousness, and the world, which is a product of or projection of the mind, are but sprouts upon pure consciousness, and hence are one and inseparable from it, as the waves are inseparable from the ocean, we take them to be real and suffer because of the vagaries of the mind and the world. When a wave identifies itself with the ocean, it can have neither sukha when it rises above, nor dukkha when it falls down again to the original level of the ocean. It is not affected by either of them. Instead, parts, that is, the mind and the world, we superimpose names and forms on them and take them to be real by themselves. So, we are passing through terrible suffering because of that. We say, my dad, my mom, my children, they have come and they have gone. But really, what has happened? So many bubbles or waves have come on the surface of the ocean of Brahman and have gone back into the same ocean from which they are emanated. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna in the Gita, Avyaktadeni bhutani vyakta madhyani bharata avyakta nidhananyeva tatraka paridevana. Arjuna, all the things in the world, Chetan or Jad, sentient or insentient, all these have their origin in the thing that is imperceptible and unknowable. That is, unknowable to the intellecting part of our antahkaran. That is, the pure consciousness, pure existence. They have their end also in the same imperceptible pure consciousness. In between the beginning and end, they have got an intermediary stage when they have got a name and form, just like a doll made of clay. Originally, the clay has no name or form, and in the end, when the doll is broken, then also it loses its name and form. In between these two stages, there is one where the clay acquires a name and form as a tiger, a dog, or an elephant, etc. In all these changes, is there anything happening to the substance, the real thing in it, namely clay? To those who understand this, the intermediary stage will also be nothing but clay. Even though I may take many births, many forms, I continue to exist in all these forms. That stage would not delude them. To those who understand this, the intermediate stage will also be nothing but clay. So, there will be no more under delusion. But to a child, a person of ignorance, the intermediary part will be real as an elephant, a tiger, etc. Our understanding of the world is just like the child's understanding of the doll. Nothing but that. We think this body is real. These names and forms are real. My father, my mother, my children are real. Because of this incomplete fractional understanding, we only take the intermediary projected part of existence to be real. We suffer because one day the projected part will cease to be. Anything that has come into existence will go out of existence sooner or later. Knowing this, that the beginning and end of everything in this world is avyakta, we should try to know what the avyakta state of all these things is. Instead of doing that, we are always dabbling in the unreal intermediary projection, thinking it to be real, and we consequently suffer because of our foolish dabbling in the things of the world. So Vedanta says, look at the world. Look at the world. What for? For studying it. For analyzing it. For knowing that the world is only a projected part of the reality. And hence, Nashwar. Nashwara means perishable. Perishable. That being so, if we attach ourselves to the changing world, the sukha we will get out of it will also be changing, broken. If we identify ourselves with the non-changing reality, Sachidananda Paramatma, we will get that Ananda which will be non-changing, permanent and lasting. To reach the non-changing reality, which is the origin of both the mind and the world, we need not go outside and search for it. It will be a foolish search, foolish. Waste of time, waste of energy. So what's to be done? We should sink ourselves and trace the origin of the mind. Search is to be made inside our being. Then we will not only know ultimate reality, but we will be verily that. It is such a wonderful process that right from the level where we are, we can reach up to and attain the infinite reality. All the enlightened souls have said. What they have said? Trace it within yourselves. You will be searching in vain if you are seeking God outside of you. When we are in ignorance or ajnan, we are confronted with many, many problems and difficulties and terrible situations. When we have knowledge, these things have no existence. Let us take one more example. Suppose there is a dog made of stone. When we understand it to be a real dog, we wonder whether it is a ferocious one, whether it will bite us. All sorts of thoughts come to our mind. But the moment we understand that it is made up of stone, that it is nothing but stone, we laugh at our own fears and apprehensions, for the fear is baseless. Baseless. The fear is not remedied, but it gets dissolved in the knowledge. See how important the knowledge is. The misunderstanding that it is a dog, the misunderstanding that it is a dog can only be removed by the correct understanding that it is but stone.
Can I ask a question here?
Yeah.
Now, let us presume that instead of having the stone, that dog is the real dog, and the mind is the interaction with the dog. How do you deal with that situation?
No, you are dealing with the unreal things with the unreality. I am talking about the reality and the unreality. That concept you must develop. In your case, what you are telling about, both are unreal. Both mind as well as the dog which you are talking about, both are unreal. I am talking from the absolute reality and the reflection of it in the world. So in analyzing that, we are giving this example. Just to clarify ourselves what is really the true knowledge and what is really ignorance. What is it that is hindering in getting to that final experience of awareness? So also our sorrows, fears and anxieties arise only by our misunderstanding that this changing relative world is real. As long as you hold on to this world as real, you cannot escape this suffering, this tension and worry. We are in the realm of avidya, realm of ignorance. This can be removed only by the correct understanding, obtained by a clean analysis of the world. This is called jnana or vidya. We have to apply spiritual knowledge to dispel the knowledge that we perceive through our senses, the worldly knowledge. By making a clean analysis, we should know that the world which is of a changing nature is unreal. It's constantly changing, yet we feel it is very much real to us, so we are suffering. We should not waste our life, therefore, by dabbling in the impermanent intermediary stage of existence, but shift our vision to the non-changing avyakta, the pure consciousness. We should therefore go after the non-changing, imperishable, abiding ananda. We should not go after the objects of the world which will betray us. We should not go after the ghost, for it is not real. We should not go on a wild goose chase, for it will lead you nowhere. We should not go after our shadow, for we can never catch it. We should change our sense of values, change our very way of life. The question then arises, how can the mind trace its own origin? The mind has two aspects. It can issue forth and project out into the external world. Here the mind deals with the external world, and this is called the pravritti aspect of the mind. When you retreat within, you are away from that part of the mind which deals with the external world. This is called subjective thinking. Here we leave the gross aspect and come to the subtle aspect which is nearest to the I consciousness, the true personality. This is called the nivritti aspect of the mind. The pravritti aspect leads away from our true personality, while the nivritti aspect takes us nearer and nearer to our real absolute nature. Again, to give an example, you blow air to kindle a fire, but you can also extinguish it by the same breath. That is, the same breath is instrumental in kindling as well as extinguishing the fire. Even so, the same mind can lead us away as well as towards our true personality. It can bind us, it can liberate us. That's what the Amrita Bindu Upanishad said in the first verse. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. So mind projecting out creates sukha and dukkha, while mind withdrawn gives us shanti and samadhan, peace and tranquility. To trace out the origin of the mind and to realize our true self, therefore, what should be done? We should develop the nivritti aspect of our mind. We must train our mind to come away from indulging in the external world and to retreat within itself. The mind which is wholly extrovert must be trained to become wholly introvert. This can be done only by having mental purity and by cultivating samabhava. This is only a very general preliminary idea before we actually step into disciplining the mind. Now I am dealing with the same subject, not in next, probably in the month of